So it's now time for difficult conversations. Now, Army veteran, personal trainer and father of 5, Webb, refused to leave the GP's car park until someone saw him. And for months during the COVID lockdown, he couldn't get a face-to-face appointment with his GP. But thank goodness he finally did get that appointment. And unfortunately, he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of cancer. So I'm pleased to say that joining me in the studio is Webb. He's here to tell us his story. Lee, so, I mean, OK, so take me back, because you're Army veteran, you're a personal trainer.
Personal trainer. Before I had cancer, I was very fit.
Yeah.
I would be running about 4 times a week, certainly in the gym about 4 times a week as well, plus cycle rides. I was the type to cycle rides right up to Hunstanton from Bedford just to get a bag of chips and come back.
How many miles roughly is that for those of
That would be sort of like about 150 miles. We're quite regularly doing 100 miles,
wow.
Me and my youngest son. So I was kind of fit. Never thought about getting ill at all or anything like that.
Yeah, and so then the COVID lockdown came. I don't know, did you take the vaccine? What was your view on that?
I didn't take the vaccine. I didn't think I needed it. Being a fit guy,
yeah.
And I think that was a thing throughout the fitness industry as well.
Yeah. So
a lot of fitness instructors had that kind of mindset. First 3 months I enjoyed it. I was getting out for a lot of cycle rides while the gyms were closed, and then we opened up a little bit where I could actually train people outdoors. So actually the COVID itself wasn't too bad. I actually had COVID this time last year.
Yeah.
And I actually had it pretty bad. And then about 4 weeks later...
Had you had the vaccine when you...
I hadn't had the vaccine.
So you still had it, yeah?
I believe at that time they were just rolling it out to 40 to 50 or 50 to 40-year-olds at the time.
Yeah.
So I hadn't had the vaccine. It just wasn't... I didn't believe I would get ill.
Yeah.
And it was one of them things. So when I did get COVID, I did fall ill. I had to have about 2 or 3 weeks off work. And then about a month later, I then caught tonsillitis, or what I thought was tonsillitis. I had an internal bleed inside the neck. I had to be taken to hospital for that.
Wow.
So that's the first time I've ever been in an ambulance, first time really that I've touched base with the NHS in many, many years. I got better from it. I was meant to have visited the ear, nose and throat department of their local hospital. I didn't get the letter for that appointment because it went to an old address.
Right.
Because I hadn't used the NHS in about 20 years. What then happened, around about October last year, I then had a second bout of what I thought was tonsillitis. And I noticed a lump in my neck. I become quite concerned about that lump in the neck because it was unusual. And then I went down to my local GP, who actually, funny enough, only is around the corner from me. I was then refused entry. I was told that I had to phone up. So for the best part of about 3 months, I then tried to phone up on the phone. You could never get through. I did go down there a further time as well. And again, was just told to phone up. You just got to make it. They did say that there was something wrong with their phone system. And I actually said to them, well, you need to get your phone system sorted out because it's been going on for now a month and a half.
Yeah.
And then came up to January. So I then got a third bout of what I thought was tonsillitis. And this lump was actually increasing in size as well. It wasn't really showing up as a lump outside the neck, but you can actually feel it. You can actually wobble it about. I went down to the GP then, and they were quiet, nobody in the car park. I rung the bell, and they refused to let you in. They asked me if I had had a lateral flow test. Well, every time that I thought that I had tonsillitis, I had actually taken a lateral flow test to test me, see whether I got it, and in them occasions, they turned out negative. So what then happened was I explained that I'd taken a lateral flow test. Oh, you need the other test. So you'd actually have to go down to the testing centre, wait
PCR
2 or 3 days. PCR test.
Yeah.
And that takes about 2 or 3 days turnaround, or it was at the time anyhow. And I said, actually, I can't wait. My throat is actually in pain. And I know this is not COVID because I've already had COVID. And they just wouldn't let me in. And they asked me to actually leave the car park.
Yeah.
And at that point, I said, no, I'm not going to leave the car park. I'm going to stop here until I get seen by a GP. At that point, she then said, well, if you don't leave, we'll have to call the police. I then said to him, well, call the police, because I'm not moving anywhere. And if you call the police, I will come back after I've been arrested or whatever the police need to do with me. I will come back, it will be with a tent, and I will camp out in your car park until the GP sees me. And I will notify all the papers. So I was determined to go down that route. Finally, they got the practice nurse to see me. And she actually checked me out in the car park, not inside the doctor's surgery at all, it was outside the car park. She then had a look in my mouth and noticed that I couldn't open my mouth. Now, I hadn't been aware of this, that my mouth had actually started closing up.
And when you say open your mouth, the front bit, but you mean the back of the throat where you're opening your...
No, it was actually my mouth.
Your actual mouth. Yeah.
So most people can open sort of like about 30 millimetres, I believe, or can get 3 to 4 fingers that way in their mouth if they were to put it in their mouth. You could barely get one for me. And she tried to get this stick, tried to prise it open a little bit, and it wasn't working. And she said, you're seeing a doctor tomorrow morning. And the next day I did see a doctor. He examined my throat and he said, what do you think it is? And I said, well, I've got concerns, about cancer. And he said, no, I think it's potentially cyst because it's smooth.
Yeah.
So anyhow, he puts me in for blood tests and an appointment to the ear, nose and throat department. Blood tests didn't show anything up apart from a little bit of, I think my liver function wasn't quite up because I was dehydrated.
Right.
And I didn't realise you had to drink before the blood test, nobody had told me.
Right.
But the blood test didn't show anything up. They'd done a cancer one as well, but not all cancers show up on a blood test. So anyhow, I went down to the ear, nose and throat department. This was 2 weeks after I'd seen my GP in January. And he felt my throat and immediately said, this is serious. And I said to him, my GP seems to think it's a cyst. And it felt like I was actually being told off at the time. He said, well, your GP is wrong. And I felt like I was being told off at the time. And at that time, it's just like, I went numb. I couldn't believe what I was being told, that I may well have cancer. I'm a fit guy. And even up to that point, in between my bouts of what I thought was tonsillitis, I was going to the gym, working out 3 or 4 times a week in the gym, going out running. And when I go out running, it's for an hour, minimum, hour and a half at the most. So I'm a long distance runner. So it really surprised me. And then that journey, because I had to go back to the gym and do a shift and do a client, and that journey from Bedford Hospital, it was just like numb. I didn't know kind of what place I was at. And it was just so surreal to be told that I might have cancer. What they do when you're first told, before they can officially diagnose you, you have to go for a load of tests, biopsies and scans. So over the next month, I then went for 3 scans, all different scans. An MRI scan, which is the final scan that I had. I had 3 biopsies. So my first appointment at the ear, nose and throat department, I had a biopsy then, which actually hurt and made my throat inflame. I then had one under radiography. So they had to look where they were actually putting it on, because the first biopsy wasn't conclusive and they like to be 100% sure.
Of course, yeah.
And then the last one, which he actually took one out of my tongue because he noticed there was something going on in my tongue. As the time was going on, my mouth opening was actually getting worse, although they did give me exercises to try and prevent it from actually getting any worse. And it's a condition called trismus. So one of my lymph nodes were affected under my jawline. That's what was causing the mouth opening problems. So I was then diagnosed, and that would have been towards the end of February. And that was with cancer on the...
That's this year?
That's this year, yeah. So that was cancer of the tongue, tonsils, and metastatic cancer, or secondary cancer as it's most commonly known as, of the lymph nodes. They then gave me my prognosis, which is 75%. He said that some doctors will say it may well be about sort of 65%, but we're looking at 75% of you given your healthy lifestyle. And it wasn't lifestyle related that causes my cancer. It's actually caused by a virus called the HPV 16.
So it's a bit like the cervical cancer one as
It's
well.
exactly the same as cervical cancer. So in females, it presents itself as cervical cancer or head and neck cancer. In males, because we haven't got a cervix, no matter what people say, it presents itself in the head and neck area, or it tends to do that area. So he gave me my prognosis, and then he said this is curative. Okay. So there is that 25% chance that it isn't curative, but I work on the 75% chance that it is. And that's why, look, until they tell me otherwise, I'm treating it as curative.
So you've had some treatment. It's a stage 3 cancer at the moment.
It's stage 3, so I've gone through all my treatment, which I finished about 5 weeks ago. So I've had 2 sessions of chemotherapy, and I've had 30 sessions of radiotherapy. So
that must have been tough. I mean, I know you sent some pictures of the treatment that you went through as well.
The first 3 weeks was, to be quite honest, I felt was a walk in the park. Yeah, as you can see there, that's the scans that they took, and that's actually from the front front of the head, I believe. That's the front of the head. The one previous behind it was under the jawline. So the big white lumps that you can see on the left-hand side, they're the cancer cells. So it surprised me.
Because you're such a fit person, you've been doing exercise all the time. I mean, the exercise itself has probably been something that has probably helped you through, really. And
I kept it going for as long as I could. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, it took them a long time to see you. And had it not been for your actions of just refusing to leave that surgery, you probably...
it may have been a little bit longer. Because when I had my second, or what I thought was my second bout of tonsillitis back in October, I spent about a week every day phoning the doctors up and trying to get through. And then, of course, it becomes less and less as the weeks go on, and you get better, and you think, oh, well, it's maybe just a lump, it's just probably a thing from the tonsillitis, and maybe I do need my tonsils taken out. And that's what you start thinking again, because everywhere else I felt okay, I felt pretty fit. I was suffering a little bit of fatigue, but I put that down to the COVID that I'd had a few months before. So I just thought, long COVID, that's what's making me feel fatigued.
But it wasn't that. So you've had the treatment, and you brought something. What is that? You brought some...
I bought the mask. So when you're in radiotherapy, this is what they do. They mould the mask around. It's all heated. It's actually a nice heat. So it's not boiling hot. It's nice heat when they put it round. It's actually quite relaxing. So when you go under the radiotherapy, okay, they've got a table. It slides under the actual machine itself. They need you to be in exactly the same place. And this is why it's so important that you try and maintain your weight, which I haven't done. So you'll probably, your viewers might not see that, but it's got loads of markings on. So you go into the same place, you're strapped underneath, and you're strapped to this table. So when you go under there, the radiographers, they have to leave. They do it from a camera next door, because obviously...
And they trail the radiation over you.
And the radiation, you might be able to just see a mark here. So that gets taped up gradually, so they don't keep hitting the same place. They hit the same place, so it goes right through, all the way to the other side. For some people, it affects them. Other people, it doesn't. What it does with me, it's made my hair fall out the other side, but it will grow back.
It makes it's just hair, don't worry about it.
It'll grow back.
At least
but I have it cut short anyhow, so it's not noticeable. One thing it has done is made me clean shaven.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So from about here around there, I haven't shaven for several weeks.
So Lee, then, so you've got through this. Fingers crossed, the surgery and everything has worked. How soon will you know whether it's all clear? When do you get?
So my last radiotherapy session was approximately about 5 weeks ago. They have to wait 12 weeks from your last radiotherapy session before they do a scan. The reason for that is because it can show up false positives. Right. And there may well still be some cancer cells. They're continuously being destroyed over the next few weeks. So it's normally about 12 weeks. And it will be then 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks after that. They have generally been quicker, but it's up to 2 weeks after that then they give me the answer whether I've got any cancer cells left in there or not. They keep very close control of me for the next 2 years, so I keep having these scans on a regular basis. And then for the next 5 years, I have checkups once a year.
Well, listen, Lee, we wish you all the best. keep up your fitness, because obviously that's really paying off, and wish you all the best. And just stay with us. We'll follow your progress, and we'd love to see you again. Let us know how you're getting on.
Thank you very much, Nana, for having me on.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.